Band Yap is proudly sponsored by Troubadour Consultants. When it comes to planning group travel for your fine arts program, look no further than Troubadour Consultants. Whether you're organizing a major out-of-state trip or need top-notch accommodations for the state marching contest, John Mize and his team are ready to create a custom travel experience that meets your band's unique needs. As a family-owned, band director-run company, Troubadour understands exactly what it takes to make your trip stress-free and seamless. Plus, when you book a trip with Troubadour, they will sponsor a $500 college scholarship for a student in your band. Directors who book will also receive a free Mollard baton as a special thank you. Visit troubadourconsultants.com today to start planning your next trip with the experts who truly get it.
Well, I just recently stopped being the transportation director after 4 years of being the transportation director and the band director.
So what's something that you wish you could bring back, and what would it be?
Yeah. Marching band?
That's a good answer. Hello and welcome back to Band Yap. My name is Alexa Sanchez.
And I'm Jose Sanchez.
And today we are joined by a West Texas legend, Mr. Brian Tillman.
Hello. Hey guys.
So Brian, can you give us the correct pronunciation of the school and district you work at?
I work for Irion County ISD in Irion County, Texas. It's the town of Mertzen, but yeah, we hear Iron, Irion, occasionally confused with Iran, Iran, yeah, so Irion. A few old school folks would call it Irion.
Oh.
Barry Hurt likes to give it the Irion. Hello, Irion County. I don't know what holdover that is, but Irion County, not Aryan County.
Yeah, I hope not. It's not Aryan
No,
County.
no,
We might have another set of issues.
Yes, no,
I
we don't wanna go
would
there.
like to take a compilation of all of Brian's judges tapes over the years. Hello,
How many
Irion County.
versions?
And just like the start of each one.
Yes,
That would
you
be
have,
fun.
Yeah, you'd have a variety for sure.
Oh man. All right. So Brian, the reason why we're having you on this podcast, one, is because you've had quite a legendary and fantastic career, and more people need to hear about the beginnings of that. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, education, and teaching experience?
Legendary is a bit, that's a bit of a hyperbole, but I'll take it here at the end of the career. So I graduated at Angelo State. Went to Henrietta High School, landed at Angelo State, and my first teaching job was Van Alstyne, which just north of McKinney. I lived in McKinney, just north of the Metroplex, Highway 75. Van Alstyne at the time was a 2A. I like to tell people when I lived in McKinney, there was one 5A high school. Capel had one 4A high school. Frisco had one 3A high school. So about the time we moved up there, right, was when the boom happened. So this is 31 years ago.
You just said Frisco is a 3A, and I was
They
just
had
like,
one 3A high school, one in the district. So it was small but growing at that point. Taught there for a few years. Wanted to get back to San Angelo. I was playing in a rock and roll band. I was having to drive back on the weekends. And anyway, landed a gig in San Angelo at a junior high that fed San Angelo Central High School. Taught there for Edison Junior High, the home of the Crimson Tide. And it's no longer. It became a feeder school for Central High School for a little while. And now it's about to be a parking lot for Shannon Hospital Systems, I think. But anyway, landed at Grape Creek High School for 8 years and had a really great time. Grape Creek's a little suburb just north of San Angelo. And then 15 years ago, landed at Irion County in Mertzen, and just have had a wonderful time at Irion County. It's been a fantastic job. Just things got a little better and kept getting a little better. And we've had a good time. So that's the short rundown.
So a rock band. What does like everyone know that? Like, is that a common knowledge thing about you?
Maybe if you've known me for a while, I'm a rock and roller at heart. Was a long-haired hippie sax player, goatee down to here and earrings here. Graduated from college and buzzed the hair off, but kept playing in a rock band. We were almost famous. We were not quite cover of the Rolling Stone. That doesn't mean anything anymore, I don't guess. But anyway, kids, there used to be magazines with bands in them, and anyway, we Hazy Train was the name of the band. My college roommate and some buddies, and I was this was when I was single for the first, right when we got started, and then my wife and I met while I was in the Metroplex, and so we were married. I was the married guy in the band. Drove down on the weekends to play gigs, and when the job at San Angelo opened up, jumped on it. The band fizzled out, as they tend to do, but the band director gig, got better and better. Stuck with that. Stuck with the day job, so to speak.
Man, that's a tidbit. And if you don't know this, like Brian's going into the sunset. Like currently, we don't have video on this, but Brian's wearing like the most like laid back "I'm ready to retire" shirt ever. Can you give in
This
like detail your shirt that you're currently wearing?
Well, this is just what I wear to school. This is I'm a Hawaiian shirt guy. It's we got flamingos. We've got
Say you have a shirt exactly like that.
I know. That's why I am vibing. I'm so vibing. But here's the thing. I'm a large man, so therefore like Hawaiian shirts, just like it looks like they call me fluffy, like Gabriel Iglesias all the time. But like Brian just is like, hey man, it's gonna be what it is.
You're talking about how it's like Brian's retirement attire, but like you already wear that to school.
Why are you coming after me like that? Oh, fantastic. So why band, Brian? Like what drove you into the band culture and to the band world?
So I went to Henrietta, which my beginner band director was Barry Hurt, big name in the small school. Well, it's just in the band business, yeah. And I think that was his first gig. He had the high school, took the high school job. I was the fifth grader at the time when we started band. So, talk about a great beginner band experience. The high school band was fantastic. They won the state marching contest. Band was a big deal in Henrietta. Barry left, and George Strickland took the gig. So another pretty big name. And
so what you're saying is that you had like the all-star cast of band directors.
I felt like I had no choice but to get into band after that. So, or get into teaching band. No, they were, and George had a tough time following Barry. He is such a different personality from Barry. And it kind of took until about my senior year. I was the drum major, the hotshot sax player, and all that stuff. And we got back to the state marching contest finally my senior year. And that was it. My wife gives me a hard time because she's like, Brian, nobody knows what they're going to do when they're 16 or 17 years old. And I kind of did. I was hanging out in the band hall, and I thought, being a small school band director, this seems like a pretty fun gig. And that was 1980 something, and 2025. I haven't changed my mind about it. It's just been a great thing. So landed. Had a great pedigree. Landed at Angelo State. Harris Brinson was a fantastic band director. I had a great mentor in David Fennell. Dr. David Fennell passed away a few years after I graduated, and I just had great people all along the way. So couldn't help but fall into it.
Okay, some good questions for you. Did Barry Hurt always have the ponytail?
Yes, he's looked like that forever. As long as I've ever known him, and that's 30, 40 something years. He would hate for me to say that. I've known him 40 years, but yes, he's always been the long haired. The hair has moved back on the head. But it's receded, but he's always had the ponytail. Yeah.
Oh man, respect on that.
That is all what we call some lore.
Because we interviewed Luke McMillan, and I like almost asked him if like he knew Barry Hurt without a ponytail, and I just like I can't imagine Barry Hurt without a ponytail.
I think it's mythical.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like it's just there. So okay, so you grew up in the 70s into the early 80s, correct? Not to date you or anything.
Mm-hmm. No, child of the 80s.
So what year did Careless Whisper come out? Was that an 80s thing? Were you one of the pioneers of the saxophone careless whisper thing?
God. That's probably what, 80, 85, 86, I bet. Maybe later. I don't know. No, I've never played. I'm a sax guy, but I've never played that. Ever, not once, and I swear to you on that.
You know what that means at graduation this year. At graduation, when you are hanging it up, you just need to bring out the careless whisper just for the senior class.
You can't go out like that.
Oh,
no.
You can totally go out like that.
No.
You can totally go out like that. All band directors across the nations cringe at the careless whisper.
The kids love it.
Yes. So what makes small schools special to you? Because that kind of seems to be a small theme, no pun intended, of your career where you did a lot of small schools. So why small school and what makes that special?
Well, it's where I grew up. Henrietta was a 2A, 3A size school, and I don't know any different is part of it. A big part of it, I grew up doing, I was a basketball player and really into track. And I just like the idea that kids at the small school can do it all. And in fact, they kind of have to. We don't have programs unless the kids do everything. It's the same group of kids doing it all. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. I could tell you we get to know the kids so well. I start them in 5th grade, and I'll have kids for 7 years, so it's just, there's a lot about small school culture that I just really like. I fell into it. That's what I felt like I was good at. And what I knew, the 4 years I was at that feeder school for San Angelo Central was a big school, but, and I enjoyed that. But when the opportunity came to get back to a small school, I jumped on it. That's just kind of my thing.
So you live in Mertzen, yes? Is that what you said? Is that
I
how you
do.
said it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got a very, very important question for you early in the podcast.
This is important.
This is super important. Is there a Dairy Queen in Mertzen, Texas?
We are without it. We have no Dairy Queen. There's no Sonic. There's a little burrito place.
Ooh.
There's 2 convenience stores. We don't even have a stoplight. We're a no stoplight town. There's one blinking light where one road turns off. No, we're a Dairy Queen-less small West Texas town. That's how small we are.
Oh man, it's not even a stop sign, not even a stop light.
A stop sign?
Yeah,
there's probably
There's
stop
a
signs.
stop sign or 2, but no stoplight.
Two. Well, so what's the distance between you and the next Dairy Queen?
San Angelo or Big Lake. You could go to Big Lake. Would go about 40 miles to the southeast of us, southwest. San Angelo, 26 miles north. But no, in fact, there's one right as you come in. So if you were jonesing for a blizzard, you could get there. It wouldn't 25 minutes. You're 25 minutes away from a blizzard.
25 minutes from a blizzard. Oh,
yeah, it's not too bad.
Not too bad. Do you have a blizzard order?
Butterfinger.
Butterfinger.
Good answer.
Yeah. Do you know what? The Butterfinger doesn't get enough play. It really doesn't. And
I
it's
love
just
Butterfinger.
Gets all the.
That's right.
Yeah. So I have several jobs, and I was at one of my jobs this past weekend, and there's a whole bunch of college kids, and I started an argument, legitimate argument. I was like, okay, what is the best candy? And it just went off the rails. The kids, I had to explain what Butterfingers were. Do you remember
How do
this?
they not know what a Butterfinger is?
Because the Simpsons are not pushing.
But those
the
were
product.
Butterfinger BBs. That's
no,
different.
but they pushed the Butterfinger as well.
Okay.
Now Bart did the Butterfinger BBs.
Yeah, it was like a Bart Simpson ad.
Yes.
I don't know.
Do you remember that? The giant push.
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons push.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic era.
For Butterfinger, yeah, especially.
They don't do that anymore.
I had a kid the other day tell me, I think it was a 6th grader, I'm not sure. They said, yeah, I don't listen to your podcast. And I was like, okay. And they said, all you guys do is talk about Dairy Queen.
You've listened enough to know.
I know. It's that's really though how you can gauge what kind of town you're teaching in. Just is there a Dairy Queen there?
Oh,
Pushing for sponsorship. Hey, come on.
That's true. You're right.
We've been trying.
That's a great idea.
We have been trying. So you have not one but two state championships underneath your belt. Can you tell us a little bit
We do.
about those journeys? And you have, like, you are ending the career like literally on this like golden note, because you're going out and you're retiring with the state championship.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, well, the first one we won in 2019. Well, in 2017 was kind of when we broke through. We made it to the state contest in 2A, and we were actually 1A enrollment already. The kids from the West Texas Boys Ranch had been coming out to Erie County, about 20 or 30 kids, and they decided at the end of the 2016 school year that they weren't going to come the next year. But we'd already been classified as a 2A school, too late for any, so we had about 85, 90 kids and competing in 2A. Well, kids, that's just how it goes. We'll do the best we can. And ended up making it to the state contest and placing third. The next year we dropped down to 1A, and I felt like a lot of pressure. We were, I don't want to say we were expected to win. Whiteface was fantastic. Menard has a fantastic program. Eden was really good. A lot of really, really quality 1A programs. But sure enough, we won. And that was the only year for a state marching contest that I was going to have both my son and my daughter in the band at the same time. My son was a junior, my daughter was a sophomore. So the two on the 2-year cycle, that was it. And so pretty special deal. And it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of pressure, and I wasn't a whole lot of fun to be around, I don't think. The next year, 2021, we just thought we had this thing in the bag. A little overconfident. Luke McMillan writes shows for us. I've known Luke forever. Shine, which has become one of his very, very, very popular show, wrote that for us. Man, we cruised in there, and Menard High School had just a perfect performance. Just beat us, just flat out beat us, and that was really tough. Oh, okay. They changed directors. Their director Lindsay Gold left. Got her first, and moved on to bigger things. Fantastic teacher. Oh well, okay. We got him next time. 2023, young director, first year to be a head director. Rebecca Cook. God, beat us again. And it's tough, So we ended up second. We were third, and then second, and then this last year, I kind of all year knew this was probably going to be my last year to do it. Had another really great show that Luke wrote for us, and I think. I don't want to say that it was more fun this year than the other year. It was we didn't try to be so serious. It was a lot of rock and roll. We literally are waving the horns back and forth and doing a little bit of dancing, and I think maybe just that kind of helped it loosen up. And it was really exciting. Again, another great run by Menard, Cross Plains, and
Jesus, yeah.
Jesus and his program at Cross Plains. So to come out ahead of those was really special. So it's been a really fantastic run since 2017, and really, really proud of that. And I won't miss the pressure and the worrying about all of it, but it's great. It's been a great run.
Yeah, we watched the 1A contest, and it's like we knew that we felt like the top three were definitely the top three. We just didn't know how they were going to shake out, and that's great. Like how Luke kind of captured something that you're passionate about, since you're a rock and roll type of guy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And so that, especially to send you out that way, I think that's like fantastic. I mean, that's really the dream. I mean, how many QBs do you hear about, like they want to go out with a Super Bowl ring or something like that?
Right.
So that's like fantastic. And you have two of them, and you have some other medals to go along. So that says a lot about your career. So how did you establish such a large program at a 1A? Because I remember seeing your band coming onto the field, and I go, that's a big band.
Just by being there, I've been there 15 years. When I got there, we had 7th graders through 12. We made up the high school band. And after about 3 or 4 years, we had enough kids we could kind of take the 7th graders out and just march with 8th graders and up. And I think kids were able to enjoy it a little bit more. Nothing against seventh graders. I love seventh graders, but doing a marching band with seventh grade, that takes a special kind of person. God bless those 1A
Yeah.
and 2A
That's
directors that use them, you know.
a special type
But
of crazy. Yeah, that's what that is. Special
um,
type of crazy.
yeah, yeah. Um, eh, the kids have just enjoyed it. They've had fun. A quote from Jim Rhodes from Forsan. Jim's talking about a legendary director, and I saw a clinic that he did, and he said because Forsan is one of these where there's shoot 200 people in school and 175 in the band, that kind of a thing, and Jim said we make it real easy for kids to be in band, and I've tried to take that kind of as a philosophy. I will. What do I got to do to keep you in the band? You need to be gone for this. We'll work something out. This schedule. Hey, let's figure out how we can make this work. And so I think we've just made it easy to be in the band. Kids have enjoyed it. They're not in band because some love music, and there's a lot that are really dedicated. They're in band because their friends are in band. So if you keep their friends in the band, they'll stick around in the band. And after a while, all their friends are in, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew to we have well over half the school is in the band, and very proud of that. And we take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah. I mean, that's great because I mean, it seems like the community has really bought into it as well. Like, was there like a huge draw from the community to like, hey, we want this band program to be successful?
Well, and yes, and it has been. It's a real, they won a state championship in the '90s. They were perennial 1A contenders through the '80s and '90s. Uh, Really off and on, even in the early 2000s. So it's a community that's always been behind the band. We're well supported. It's not like just we suddenly had this really big band program. No, it's always been a pretty big deal out there at Erie County. So I'm proud to have just been a part of it, really.
Yeah. So being in a 1A, and there's one of the other things that we try to do with this podcast is to give people kind of a sneak peek behind the curtain and what our responsibilities are in small school.
Right.
So have you had any other responsibilities while you've been there?
Well, I just recently stopped being the transportation director after 4 years of being the transportation director and the band director. Um, Driven a school bus route. In fact, we're closing in on my bedtime, guys. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I leave on a bus route at 6:20 every morning. So lots of bus driving. UIL, music memory, little, the occasional study hall, a distance learning class that I do. But I have been real lucky during Canada. I've just taught music. I haven't. I've got friends that have to teach computer class or theater. I don't have to teach theater arts, but teach theater arts or one act play and that sort of thing. So I've mostly been bus driver and the band guy have been my two main things.
So how did the transportation director thing happen?
Accidentally, COVID. We all went home for spring break. Remember that 5 years ago? We went home for spring break, and we didn't come back. Well, so the teachers came back to school, and like my wife's a science teacher, and she was sending worksheets home, and the kids were coming up, and they were doing some Zoom classes. We didn't try to do Zoom band. I sent horns home with kids and sent music. Hey, maybe we'll get together for a concert. Of course, that never happened. I was just kind of hanging around. It's not like they were going to fire me or anything. I just felt like I needed to be doing something. Mentioned to the superintendent at the time, hey, what if I go get the buses inspected, start them up once a week, go check the fluids and stuff. That sounds great. Hey, it sounds like you need to be our transportation director. The transportation director had left. We were between maintenance guys, and it was strictly an accidental thing. I got a little extra money out of it. It wasn't altogether bad, but it was a lot.
Have you ever seen those things where it's like you made yourself too valuable at
Yeah,
work?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's exactly what
Girl
happened.
boss too hard.
I
Yeah.
used to joke about that. Band director's a dime a dozen, but man, I can drive the school bus. I'm doing, got my CDL. I'm more valuable in that capacity than as a band director. A guy who cares, wave a stick in the air, count to 4, big deal.
That
Yeah.
man can drive a bus.
Yeah,
Well, so like we've interviewed Brian over at Fredericksburg, and this is what you need to do, Brian. Brad, we need
We've
to you need
emailed.
to Brian.
We've emailed. We've interviewed 3
Three
Bryans.
Bryans.
popular
Yeah.
name for band directors.
Yeah.
What can we say?
So,
Yeah.
but he's over at Fredericksburg, and what you need to do is actually you need to move over to Fredericksburg because apparently the coaches work for the wineries as bus drivers for their wine tour.
Or
Right,
recently
right.
retired. He said, I think he said a former principal that who
Yeah,
retired
yeah,
went,
yeah.
was driving the
Yeah, that's
the
what
bus
they
route.
do. Yeah, they just run the bus route for the wineries. I don't know if your wife is into wine.
Oh, we've been known. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I seen your photos on Facebook there, Brian. I know exactly what libations you're into. Okay, so I mean that might be a move for you. I mean, I got
It's
my
something to think about.
CDL.
Got that CDL. It
Got
doesn't
the
expire for
CDL?
another year, so we're good.
He's got a whole
A
year.
whole year. Man, he got another retiree hire in a
Think
different
about
way.
how many bachelorette parties he could drive
Right.
between now and then.
Oh, and then you could play your saxophone. That's tip money right
Oh
there.
my God.
Yeah,
This is an
yeah.
enterprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's gonna
A
happen.
bus, a saxophone, you're all set.
Yep, and wine. That'll do
Yeah.
it. Okay, so you had both your children go through your band program.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about your kids?
My son Wes is in week 4 of basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. This was kind of a different direction that he took after a couple years of school and wanted to serve his country and do something different. So Wes was a trombone player, and he's playing in the camp band that will play for the graduation ceremonies. We found out. So
That's awesome.
Well, that shows you like band doesn't have to stop at
it
graduation.
absolutely doesn't. Absolutely. So, and in fact, when he landed there at basic training, they basically try to get a band together. They ask anybody has musical experience. Well, yeah, I played in the band, and he played at the ASU band for a couple of years as well. And so, hey, this gets you out of some kitchen cleaning duty. Hey, you could sit inside and rehearse
Sign
with the
me up.
band while everybody else is shoveling and
Yeah.
digging. So. But that's what my son Wes does. My daughter Audrey was the drum major for the band for a couple of years, French horn and trumpet player, and she's currently at the sophomore at Texas Tech. On her on her 4th major, we're now pre-dental after psychology, sports med, and physical therapy. But we're settling in on dental school afterwards.
go.
So good kids.
amazing.
They're fantastic.
Well, I would hope so. They're
Yeah.
good kids. Like you can't return them.
No, they're stuck with them. Stuck with them now.
So how did you meet your wife?
We met at a bar. I bought her a beer. Imagine that.
He was in a rock band.
He was in a rock band.
No, it's a
played
pretty
the
good story. We just
saxophone.
I went a band we're called Sunvolt. This is alt country from the 90s. Was playing at a club in Dallas. Me and a buddy wanted to go see them. We got there and we were told, somebody at the door said, "Oh no, we're not selling any more tickets. We're sold out." Ah, shoot. Hey, let's go see another band called the Bottle Rockets, another alt country band playing at a club in Dallas. So we drove into Dallas, and they had canceled. Guitar player was sick, or somebody, exhaustion. That's what they say when they have bad drugs. And so so for whatever reason, we went back and we said, let's go back to the see if we can get into that Sunvolt show at the Sons of Herman Hall. So we go back, and whoever was at the door was a different guy at the door. "Oh yeah, come on in, we got plenty of tickets." Went upstairs, and so I saw this cute young woman at the show, and bought her a Shiner Bock and wrote my phone number on the back, and the rest is history, as they say. We keep saying, what if the Bottle Rockets hadn't canceled? What if that guitar player had shown up for the gig? I'd have never made it back. We'd have never met, and different world.
Yeah, man,
That's destiny.
Yeah, that seriously, like you never know when it's your moment. Like
You just never know.
really, I mean, because everything happens for a reason. I really do believe that because like I tell this story every now and then that the way Alexa and I really kind of stayed together was the fact that I was at Wortham and I interviewed for the head director job over at Aransas Pass outside of Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
And Alexa went down with me to take that interview, and they offered me the job on the spot. Like the superintendent tried to get me to sign a contract in his office, like right then and there.
Right.
They really didn't want you to go.
Yeah, and I was like, no, like I need to talk to people. I need the time to think about it, like all that kind of stuff. And they were offering me like $20,000 more than actually I think they were gonna
It was
offer,
a lot of money.
yeah, they
more
offered
than
me
you already made.
yeah, they offered me I think $30,000 more than what I was making over at Wortham.
You were making
Yeah,
not a lot of
not
money.
a lot of money. Not a lot of money. And so like it was
All
a
things
big
being
jump.
relative.
Yeah, it was a big jump in pay. Well, I had already taken an interview over at Robinson with Bob Better. Speaking of Big Lake,
We know Bob.
Reagan County. So I already taken an interview with Bob, and as an assistant, and the pay was not nearly as much as an assistant at Robinson than what it was going to be over at Aransas Pass. And I remember getting in the car after my interview with Alexa, and Alexa was like crying, like bawling, because she was like, I don't want you, you know, it was a whole entire thing. And then
I was in college, by the way.
Yeah.
So I was nailed down in one spot.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I like called Bob and I said, hey, is there any way you can get me more money to like win? And he was like, no. No. I'm like, okay.
Nice try,
and so,
buddy.
like I had a decision to make with my own career. I'm like, hey, do I go down to Aransas Pass and take $30,000 more as a single man, quote unquote single,
Right.
or like attach myself to the program and the history of Robinson High School, and like attach myself to like the great band director Bob Better in that team. And I had to really think about that. I'm like, okay, do I want the quick buck, or do I want something that could potentially affect my career for, I mean, the rest of my career?
Right.
And mentorship after you had been a head director by yourself for a year.
And I went to Robinson, and then that's kind of led me where I'm at. I don't know if I would be the same director or the same person. I wouldn't be.
I don't think
I would not be the same person or the same director if I would have gone down to Aransas Pass. But all that said, if it was, and honestly, like Alexa was a big reason why I stayed in Central Texas. Somebody put Alexa in my path in order to make sure I stayed on the correct direction and trajectory for my career. So, Alexa, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So it's nuts that way. So what has been the most difficult thing teaching in a small school?
Just the sheer numbers of kids. You just don't have that many kids. You've got to figure out how to make things work with limited instrumentation. People talk about sharing the kids all the time, and then that's what it's all about. You have to understand that they're just not going to be able to come up there for after school practices and sectionals. They're doing athletics. They've got ag things going on. So figuring out what you can get done basically during class time. During marching season, we do an hour and a half once a week, Monday or Tuesday nights. And otherwise, it's what we can get done in class time. So, here we are wanting to be competitive and feeling like we want to be at the state marching contest, but also knowing that, hey, if we can't teach it in 45 minutes, 5 days a week, that's it. That's what we've got. So, just the limitations on having enough kids and have time is the biggest thing. Our budget, we're pretty fortunate. We're one of these oil field schools that for now has a pretty good budget. They give me what we need and what I ask for. I do everything by myself. I probably Angelo State is 30 miles away. and I should have been reaching out. Their music programs kind of had ups and downs. It's really going really great right now. Their director out there, Dr. Jonathan Alvis, is really good. But I just haven't. I just do it. I do it all myself. Not delegate. There's nobody to delegate things to. It's just, if it's going to get done, it's going to get done by you. This is what we do in the small school. You figure out how to do it by yourself, how to do it in 45 minutes.
So what period is your band period?
We meet third period, and
oh wow,
which is a little different. It was first period when I got out there. The previous director wanted it there. He got him up there in the mornings. I tried that for the better part of a year, and I got tired of starting my day in a bad mood because so many kids were late every day. And I just thought, it's kids riding the bus. Some kids couldn't help but get up there late. So about that time, about 2 years later, a coach asked, we have 8th graders in the band, right? So a coach asked, hey, Brian, how would you feel if we moved? And so you can say no. And he meant it, because again, band was kind of a big deal. We want to move junior high athletics first period, which made perfect sense. That way they could do their before school practice, go into first period, and then high school athletics is the end of the day. And I thought, you know what? I'm tired of having these kids dragging in late every day. Let's try it. And again, getting back to Jim Rhodes, we really copied a lot of things, of course, in it. They did theirs either second or third period. And one of Jim's points was, you know what? If they're at school, they're going to be there by second or third period. You're not having kids late. We moved it to third period, and I think it works really good. It's a little warm, third period. Second would probably be better. 10 o'clock, August and September, marching band is pretty warm, but the kids are awake. They're a little more pleasant to be around than a teenager at 8 o'clock or 7:45.
Medications really set in.
The meds have kicked in at that point. So we do it from 10:08 to 10:54 every day. Concert is wonderful. Once we move inside, it's just wonderful. I really like having that. It's after breakfast period. I'm not rushed in the morning. I drive my morning school bus route, and then I've got a little time to catch my breath, eat breakfast, clean up. So works good for us. After lunch, we tried that 1 year at Grape Creek, and that was awful. So, but I'm not necessarily a band has to be first period, it has to be second period. It's whatever works, what works for your situation.
My high school band was also third period.
Was
when
it?
I was in
Yeah.
high school. Yeah.
When I was in high school, it was 6th period.
Was that like the period after lunch, or was it the period after that?
It depending on which lunch you had.
Oh, okay.
So therefore we were outside doing marching band at 1 p.m. in the coastal band.
Some people still do that.
That is I think about that, and right now I'm thinking about it, and I think I'm starting to sweat. It was awful.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, 1 p.m. marching band. So okay, so how do you go about sharing kids in the best possible way?
Helps to be friends with your coaches. You know what I'm saying? This is something else I've been real lucky with at Erie County. I've had good coaches. The 1A world especially, I think they kind of realize that, hey, you need my kids and I need your kids, and being a real jerk about things just isn't going to work. So being very upfront, very early about what our schedules are. Now, that being said, even though, band's a big deal, they're going to go to their athletic practice before they come to band rehearsal. I mean, that's just kind of one of those things. Both my kids were in athletics. My daughter was state track meet kind of caliber athlete, and so I was always fine with that. In fact, I liked having the athletes in the band. Those are some of the cool kids, so to speak. Those are the kids that other people are going to want to hang out with. So I've always, like I said, we've made it real easy for kids to be in band. I've never really run into anybody. Having a good counselor that understands how to schedule things where you're not going to have a lot of conflict helps an awful lot too. Yeah, communication. not being a jerk, understanding that there's sometimes they need their kids and there's sometimes you need yours. So it all works out.
Yeah. I think the transparency is a big thing, and like understanding the difference between like when to give and when not to give. Like there's a certain time we talked to Brian Sowers, and he talked about the golden triangle that they kind of incorporate, like the athletic department, fine arts department, and academics department.
It tilts in the direction of.
Yeah. So like when it's like the district championship football game, well, it kind of leans towards that. The star testing leans towards that. It's region marching contest week. UI like leans
Right.
towards that. I mean, so it's just like those clear understandings. And I think there's still a lot of people who like will fight battles that they just kind of don't need to fight. Just like you, I've been very fortunate where I've had some coaches who just appreciate the band program, and we appreciate the athletic program. And I don't know about you and your band hall, but I know in our band hall, if I hear anybody whisper a thing about the athletic program, I'm coming down on them with the strength of Thor's hammer. Just because, like, what does that do? Like, why are you going to tear somebody down to make yourself feel better? Like, maybe we should self-reflect first.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well, they're all in athletics, so there's not any of that at all. But yeah, we're all really and I think a lot of small schools are like that. We're all very, very supportive of each other's programs, and there's never really any real jealousy or competition or that sort of thing among those. But yeah, Brian's of course I know Brian real well, but they're that triangle of everything is, not to say it's 100% equal. I don't want to say the band is equal to the academic, part of it, but recognizing that those are the three big things at most successful small schools. So yeah, good for them.
Do you have a favorite memory as a band director?
The state marching contest, when that's pretty exciting. That first year when I talked about our breakthrough year, 2017, when we made that trip, that was totally unexpected. We were not expecting. We just wanted to get to the area contest and let's just do the best we can. And that year when things just kept getting better and better, favorite memory, but a funny story. We were in Amarillo for the area marching contest. Didn't know if we'd make it to the finals or not. Made it to the finals. Now I've got to find something to do with kids for 5 hours in Amarillo. Let's get out of the wind. We went to see a movie. Let's go find a movie. And the only movie that was showing that we worked out, it was called Only the Brave or something like this. It was a firefighter movie. And at the end of it, they all die. Oh. Spoiler, sorry. But this whole band, we walk out of the movie, and all these teenage kids were all just crying and weeping, and
what a downer.
Well, and then we went to the performed at the finals, and I sort of think that the kids were so emotionally drained that they were just cool, man. They just laid it down. It was just a darn near perfect performance. And we very unexpectedly, we were one of the top 2 or 3, made it to state, and just kind of made for a funny story. So
yeah, I have an awful story. This is pretty awful.
I'm not prepared for whatever this is going to be.
I've told you this story. Yeah. So when I was over at Baylor, at that point in time, the basketball teams were like really, really, really spectacular. And so we went to the Big 12 tournament and with the women. And one of the activities was that we went to the movie theater, just like you. There was a trumpet player who was like probably 75 to 80% deaf. Okay. And, he enjoyed band. He played trumpet. He was great, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that year, the movie that came out that was big was V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
Okay. And this guy, he was very good at reading lips. Well, if you've ever seen V for Vendetta, the main actor is wearing a mask the whole entire
The
time.
entire movie, he's wearing a mask.
And so like I remember somebody asking him like, "Hey, how'd you like the movie?" He goes, "It was visually very good. I just didn't understand a thing that was being said." And it was because of that. Because he was deaf, and it was just like, oh, what do you say? Like, wait till it comes out of DVD. Like, he just didn't realize. But that's my movie story. So, so what was probably more like a bigger moment for you? Your first state championship or your second state championship?
That's a good question. They were both very, very different. The first one was really special. Again, having the kids in the band, and just that really was not anything that I just kind of got to a point where just didn't think that was going to happen for us. We were kind of a middle of the road, a good band, but we would always make it to about middle of the area contest. Maybe we make it into the bottom part of the finals, and just to get to that level was really special. The second one though, this last year, again, kind of knowing that okay, this is probably it. Boy, it'd sure be nice to win and be able to to retire, on a championship year. That it was pretty special as well. So call it a toss up between the two, a push.
Man, do you have a favorite show that you've done?
The one that I mentioned, Shine, that was a really, really good show. I've really enjoyed all the ones that Luke has written for us. That one was, I felt like the most of a collaboration. The idea was, we had COVID and everything had shut down. And so Luke calls me during the summer and says, well, okay, or late spring, what are we thinking about? This was the 2021, looking at the fall of 2021, spring of 2021, looking at fall of 2021, and just talked about how, gosh, some uplifting melodies would be great. Maybe something from Copeland, maybe the Appalachian Spring, and just talked about, Here Comes the Sun. Oh, that'd be a great one. Anyway, and that show was really, really cool. It was so cool. I was just convinced we were going to win, and then we didn't. But it was really great. The one he wrote this year, Sky Full of Stars, is really, really good. The one that we did 2 years ago, the Rhapsody, it was called just called Rhapsody. It's Bohemian Rhapsody with Rhapsody in Blue. How cool is that? So Luke, he's done really good with our band. He and I, he can kind of read my mind on what, when I say I want to feature this, he kind of knows what I'm talking about, kind of knows the band. So those three shows were really cool. The year that we won, the first one was called Shipwreck, that based on the USS Hornet. So of course, well, gosh, we have to do that. It's a minor key. It's a maritime disaster, so it's just not quite as exciting to me. It wasn't quite as fun as the other ones, but they've all been. He writes a good show for us for sure.
I don't know which title I like better, Shipwreck or Maritime Disaster.
I'm kind of leaning towards the maritime disaster.
That might be the next. He's already got one brewing, probably.
Yeah, can you imagine that, like on the backdrops? Maritime disaster.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, that's a fun one.
Could you like crash a ship on the marching field?
You can do anything you want. Who had the angler fish?
That was
it was a
Canyon.
4A school. Yeah.
It was Canyon.
If you can have a fish, you can crash a boat.
So let me ask you this question. So like you grew up in the 80s, and now, I mean, you've been in education for how long?
This is year 31 as a band director.
31. So how have you been able to stay connected with the Gen Zers?
The Gen Alphas, really.
Yeah. Well, having, my kids are that age. So especially at the small school, I've known these kids since they were in first, second, third grade. I was a Cub Scout den mother for a little while with my son's group, and coached YMCA basketball with my daughter's group. So I've just kind of known them for a long time. I don't try to I don't try to be too hip. We don't, I'm the old guy. I don't try to to be too cool with them or anything like that. And I think that's part of I'm all griping about their phones all the time. Oh, there goes Mr. Tillman, griping about the phones again. But uh, I just I try to be more like their dad. I'm the uncle, the dad guy, and not I don't know that I connect all that well with them. We have a good time.
So, Mr. Tillman's not making TikToks in the band hall?
No, no, he is not. No TikTok, no Instagram. I did some Facebook live videos way back, but no, not that hip.
Maybe that's something to explore in retirement.
Yeah.
Was
was there any trend that you did hop on board? I could see you totally doing the Harlem Shake.
He was planking.
You were planking?
I've never been real trendy. No, nothing really jumps to mind. I read books and play jazz. How old school is that?
That's an aura on its own, though. That's commendable on its own. That's its own thing. That's great.
So, okay, so like you've been in your authentic self, and that's been probably the most important thing for you.
Yeah, I think so. That's a worn out piece of advice, but be yourself. The marching, our band, I think, kind of reflects a little bit of my personality. We don't try to do things that are just too fancy. We're pretty solid with what we do. We're gonna play rock and roll as often as we can. We're gonna play melodies. We're gonna play fun shows and music that's fun. That's just kind of part of what we do. Yeah, and I always try to be real honest with the kids. If this really stinks, kids, I'll tell them it really stinks. Hey guys, we're on to something here, I'll tell them that too. So I think the kids have respected my honesty with them. I think telling them that I was retiring was kind of a one of those things. I was came back from TMEA. And I was I kind of wanted to go till spring break. I wanted to put it off as long as I could, but felt like, well, it's going to be, the school board is going to be meeting, and I wanted them to, the school board to have enough time to start looking for the next candidate, and told the kids, hey, I've always told you I'm going to be honest with you. So anyway, I hope they've respected that and appreciate it and take that as an example. There's no reason not to be honest out there.
I'm sure that was hard for them too, because it's almost like you're a part of their family, pretty much, and so.
Again, I've been the weird uncle for a long time. I guess been there for a
Yeah.
while for sure.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes change, but like seriously, you've been there for a long time. Like, so my head band director from high school is like, he's been there since like 1993, 1992 in the same high school. So like when he retires, I'm like, what's going to happen?
It's like you have to go down there and
Yeah.
like bid farewell.
Like I will go to that concert.
I'm sure you
I
will.
go to his final concert. That's the way that's gonna happen. Like David Veneto over at Rosebud Lot, we always used to joke because he was there forever in the day.
Mhm.
We always used to joke that when he passed away, we were gonna stuff him and like put him as a statue like in the band hall in one of his like signature poses.
I wonder what Jordan would think about that. Jordan has the Mr. Vegeto.
Oh my goodness.
stuff.
Could you imagine that if you just walked in and like, oh, Mary Hurt's in the band hall. Jump scare. So in all your years, do you have a mistake that you've made that has made you a better educator?
You sent me a list of things to think about, and that one I really thought about for a while. I was trying to think. I've made plenty of mistakes, but going back when I was at Grape Creek and taught with George Clark, who one of my very, very best friends, and he teaches at junior high in San Angelo now. He was my assistant. We taught together, and George and I and decided that we kind of put together a list of kids that these kids just don't need to be in band, and took that to the counselor that really bothered me after the fact. We told these kids that we didn't want them in band. And it was a lot of kids that were a little too cool for school and some athlete kind of guys that were just obnoxious. And George and I should have been more of the grown up to realize these are just obnoxious kids. And you know what? You tell a group of kids that they don't need to be in band next year. Well, then their friends are not going to be in the band. And again, we kind of kind of suffered for a couple of years, I think, before we recovered from that. And that was, so you got to do something really. I can't think of kicking a kid out of band. At that point, I really decided, no, if anybody, if they want to be in band, we're gonna figure out a way to make it work. So I think I learned from that to really try to include everybody that you can. And again, being at the small school, you kind of need to. A lot of kids, maybe they need band more than the band needs them. But you know what? If they're in, their friends are going to be in. Keeping as many kids in as you can. That was a good lesson to learn.
Yeah, this is always like the worst time of year. I feel like when it comes to like band director, like emotional trauma, because there are several things happening. One, it's UIL season for a lot of
Right.
folks, so you know stress is high. Two, this is around the time people start doing schedule
Figuring
choices.
those electives out.
Yeah,
It's
those
so scary. Yep.
yeah, and like you know, I've gotten to the point that I I I talk to kids about whether or not they're going to be in band the following year, and if they give me like a no, then like I'm like, okay, what are you going to do? That's always the first question. And then
Right.
I try to make sure I don't make them feel bad about not being in band, but I want to also let them know, like, hey, we want you here. Like, I really want you to really consider this
Right.
and like understand that like these are things that you could really benefit from. Like, and I mean, that's just a fact. Like, kids are going to leave our program, and how you show that you love them and care about them overall, like that's going to be the important thing. Now, I been known to call out a kid saying like, oh, you know, when especially like when they go like, oh, the time commitment, or I'm super busy and blah 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 blah. I'm like, do you enjoy music? Yeah. Okay, then what's the problem here?
Right.
You know, so like what's the bigger issue? And like
Right.
I'm just like, hey, be honest with me, because like I am here to help and serve your educational process. And if I can do something to like, and if you're like bluntly honest with me about like, hey, I'm not enjoying this part of band because of this, maybe I'm just unaware. And
Right.
maybe I can do something to ease you, or like, hey, like, okay, well, that's a good point. What can I do to make that better for you? Because even if that kid leaves our program, maybe I can do it better for the next kid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's the other part. Like, and you said it, like, sometimes the kid needs band more than what we need them in the
Right.
band.
Yeah.
And that's a hard line sometimes, because like you want to push the culture, you want to push all this kind of stuff, and it's just like maybe this is the thing that gets the kid through high school
Right. Yeah.
and gives them that purpose. Like, I remember there was a kid a few years ago who decided to join band like as an 8th grader. And like we said like, hey, this is going to be difficult, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the kid's a lifer. I mean, he was a lifer. Like he stuck all the way through his senior year. Wasn't the best musician, but like he was passionate about band, and that's what he wanted to do. Oh, and then when we were over at Robinson, we had a kid who moved in from like Oklahoma, and he learned baritone, and then he was a baritone player on the Robinson honor band program.
Wow.
Like what? And then he was in the color guard for Santa Clara Vanguard. And he wasn't a band kid until he was a freshman in high school, sophomore in high school.
Right. Right.
And then he got a degree in dance. Like
He teaches dance, I think, now.
yeah. And so like band opened up this whole entire world for him. And if it wasn't, you know, for us going like, sure.
Right. Yeah.
Are you going to work? Are you going
You
to
just
work?
never.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna be here?
You just
Yeah,
never
you
know.
never know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
absolutely never know. Is there something you wish you knew as a young director?
That it just takes a long time. My wife and I were watching a Saturday Night Live documentary just before we hooked up to do this the podcast thing, and they were the Saturday Night. These guys, you know, Will Ferrell and Andy Samberg. These guys from Saturday Night Live were talking about how it's just so hard. It just takes 2 or 3 years to figure out how to do this, and I was like band directing, like teaching. You know, it just takes 2 or 3 or 4 years to figure it out. And I think, like everybody else, I was very impatient and wanted to figure out what I was doing, and you know, just made the usual first year, second year mistakes. And I wish I'd just been a little bit more patient.
what would you recommend to like a young teacher?
Find somebody that knows what they're doing. Find a mentor. You talked about, landing with Bob Vetter at Robinson. When I came down here to San Angelo, I had a good head director that I worked with, a guy named David Gudgel at Van Alstyne. He hired me right out of college and was a good teacher. A lot of just a kind of a different situation going on up there, but he was very good. When I moved back to San Angelo, Jim Childers, who had been at Fredericksburg for a long time, and he had just become the director at San Angelo Central. And he really took me under his wing and just really said, "Hey, I'm going to show you how to be a band director." And Jim just passed away this past year. Just a real larger than life figure, and just kind of took me under his wing and really just taught me how to run a rehearsal, taught me what to listen for, how to tune, how to get kids make a good tone. So you find somebody that knows what they're doing. If you can't work with them, get them to come over to your band hall. They'll be glad to help you out. It's a tough thing. It just takes a while to figure it out and watch people who know how to do it and get better at it.
So I have several. I don't know if you know this, but Jim Childers was the director of bands at Gatesville High School.
I did know that. Yeah, I think that's where he went right after Central. I think he went there. Yeah.
So like, here's one of the other things about Jim, and you said it, he was a very much larger than life person, and Jim was a large man. He was tall,
yes,
and everything. He was a big dude. But Jim was definitely one of those people who would always be willing to help you out in no matter what situation. Okay. And this is going to be part of this is my thing. I'm going to ask you this here. Actually, I'm going to ask you this right now because it's going to lead into mine. Okay. So what's something that you wish you could bring back, and what would it be?
Marching band.
That's a good answer.
We have adjusted to the choreography and the electronics. I really haven't adjusted to, when people marched and played and it wasn't amplified. That was kind of what I was good at and liked, and that's maybe kind of a snarky answer, but I'll go with that.
Is there anything outside of the band world you wish you could bring back?
Oh gosh, how about pastel colors? How about Miami Vice push-up sleeves? How about my
All
hair?
right.
How about my hair?
Hey, you still have some hair. You talk to Brian Sowers about that situation.
That's right.
All right, he'll tell you. He will tell you real fast.
Right.
Well, so here's some of the ones I thought about earlier this week. Something I wish I could bring back in the band world: RBC.
Oh,
that's
the guys
a
at
good
RBC.
answer.
Oh man,
Very good answer, Jose.
that was like, I'm sorry, like there is nothing like RBC, and this is where my Jim Childers story is going to come into effect. So we used to take a pilgrimage.
I never got to go
down to RBC when it was like our non-state year. We would go watch the state marching bands, and so what we would do is go down to RBC. So for all the youngins who are listening, and for all the people who are not youngins who are listening, who are having flashbacks to RBC, you could actually go to the physical location of RBC in San Antonio, Texas. And so you would go, and we would have free reign. We would have an open PO.
I don't think the young directors know what RBC is.
No, it was J.W. Pepper before J.W. Pepper.
Right.
J.W. Pepper.
Okay, if like
Rhodes,
music,
Beershank, and who was the C?
You're gonna catch me.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm impressed that you knew the first.
Yeah.
So they were just like fantastic about just like they had everything. Yeah. They had absolutely everything. So it was like Pinder's, but like in San Antonio. And so you would just walk in, and we would always have an open PO. And like Bob was the one who really allowed us to do this, but he goes, open PO, get what you need. I was like, excuse me?
Kid in the candy store.
Yeah. What I was
and so
say.
like, I'm taking this. And it was great. And like, it was fantastic because you would walk into this back room, and they had all the whole entire PML. and they would have everything in alphabetical order.
Whoa.
All the grade 1s, all the grade 2s, all the 3s, 4s, 5s, everything from the PML in order in a back room.
That's crazy.
That was like the thing. That
I
was
can't
something.
even imagine that.
Oh.
I can barely stand to be on the JW Pepper website. We've talked a lot about JW Pepper recently. I got to tone it down, but I can't even like navigate the website. So I'd really like to go to a room
So
where all the
so
music.
RBC used to do like publications for band directors.
Yeah.
And Jim Childers had one specifically for marching band. He had a publication done through RBC, and it talked about how to do design for marching band.
Huh.
And it talked about like the first thing you should do is pick your closer. Boom.
Yep.
And then you would work everything back, and he talked about soloists, all that kind of other stuff. If you can find it, it's actually really like there's some really good information in that. But like I introduced myself to Jim Childers for the first time in an RBC or at RBC, and I'm like, "You're Jim Childers?" He goes, "Yes, I am." I was like, "Okay, I'm Jose Sanchez. I'm the director, new band director over at Gatesville High School." He goes, "Oh, you're the new guy? Oh, fantastic! Blah blah blah. Have you read my stuff?" I'm like, no. And so he goes, "Oh, let me," and he goes and finds someone, and he's all like, "I need my book." And I'm like, "Excuse you, your book?" And he goes, "Yeah, here, just take it." And he just gives me his book that he wrote about marching band, or his guide for it. And I think it's in the band office somewhere.
Oh, we'll have to look. I would like to look at it.
Like, it's pretty interesting. But that was my first encounter with Jim Childers in RBC. But man, if we could just bring back RBC.
You know what? I saw I think it was on the yellow board, because I still pop into the yellow board from time to time. But it might have been on the Texas Band Directors.
Shout out
Facebook
Tim
page.
Husky.
Yes. I think it was on the yellow board though. Somebody was like, because JW Pepper, when they bought them out, they still had a location, but it was
Yes.
smaller. And somebody was like, "Is it still open? Because I would like to go." And they apparently have also permanently closed that location.
Yeah.
So there's just not like a physical store anymore. And so you're stuck navigating the website like me poorly. But that's interesting that you brought that up.
Oh man, it was a good time.
That only now exists in my dreams, just like
Sandy Lake.
does. Except I actually got to go to Sandy Lake. I never got to go to RBC.
So Brian, who has been one of your greatest mentors?
Well, I mentioned Jim Childers. James Bodie was Jim's assistant at Fredericksburg. James was at Erie County prior to me, and he was kind of the guy that, in fact, when he was getting ready to retire, I found out, and kind of worked me into that position. He was actually the guy that told Jim Childers, "Hey, you should hire Brian to come down to San Angelo for that job." So Bodie's been a great mentor. Jim was really the main one that I worked with. Was real lucky to have caught him, and when I did, just learned how to teach and how to be a band director at that point. So
there once again, and we've mentioned this on almost every single podcast, but like, reach out and find a mentor.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I've been in this for 16 years, and I still find people to
I have
mentor
like
me.
a group of people that I talk to regularly, just about like different things, just about, I don't know, music, ideas. You just have to have people to talk to so that you can learn and just bounce ideas off of.
So Brian, do you have a white whale, a Moby Dick of a band piece that you just never got to play that you wish you could have?
I really can't think of anything. I'm not into that much band music to tell you which. There's that one piece that I wish I know a lot of the grade 1 and grade 2 pieces, and after that, I never having been up at the big school and taught a lot of these. I've done some. The only time I've done like grade 4 type literatures with a region band, that sort of thing. So nothing that just really. Nothing that I can think of. I couldn't really come up with a good answer for that one.
Well, what are you playing for your spring concert?
We're still sorting through some stuff. We may do kind of a greatest hit stuff that the kids have liked. Pirates of the Caribbean, some Randall Standridge pieces. Randy Standy is very popular with our kids. Try to find some people to feature, some sections to feature. I've got a really a very large percussion section. If we don't keep them occupied, they start setting fires in the back of the band hall and keeping them busy back there. So the program is still to be determined at this point.
That sounds fun though.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
greatest hits.
Yeah.
I just like there's something like there's some nostalgia to that
Yeah.
that I really appreciate. Like we talk about like Afterburn.
Yeah, that's a great one. Fun.
So that's always a good one. Some early Stan Rich stuff is just like really good.
we were talking about this the other day because I pulled out Adrenaline Engines.
Like Fire Dance. Like Fire Dance was such a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Achy. One, then they took that off the list. And then what was the other one that got taken off that? Oh, Fireball.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was another one.
I was going to say Dance Celebration, but
played both of them. Yeah.
It's still on there.
Yeah, Dance Celebration will never come off the list. Rest in peace, Robert W. Smith.
It's a good piece.
So
it's a little tough in sections.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a good tuba player?
We do, yeah.
Have you done Tripwire?
No, that would be a fun one. That's another Gerard Hall, and that's yeah.
That one, and the reason I say that one specifically to you is because you are a rock band type of guy,
right?
And he like gives off that vibe.
It's got that rock feel to it. Yeah, yeah.
Tripwire's good. Alexa did Time Lord. And that's another good one. I mean, since you're not having to worry about UIL anymore.
Right.
Just program all the UIL.
Just do all, yeah.
As long as it's not Blue Ridge Saga.
Going way back.
Oh yeah, there's also like Blue Ridge Rhapsody.
There's a lot of blues.
Yeah, there's a lot of Blue Ridges.
Blue Ridge Reel.
I like Blue Ridge Reel.
That one's hard.
That one is hard.
There's a concert theme, the blues. You know, all the blue tunes.
What is it? You could do blue and green music.
Yeah, blue and green.
Blue shades.
Not blue shades. Not blue shades.
Just throw it.
So, what is in your ear this week? So, what have you been listening to?
I do the Spotify. I do the day list a lot. This morning it popped up with a great one. Stuff from my college years, REM and U2 and 10,000 Maniacs. You kids probably don't know 10,000 Maniacs.
No.
A lot of indie rock, a lot of alt country stuff. It's a band called Waxahachie that I just really love.
If they're not from there, I'm going to be upset.
They're not. It's a woman named Katie Crutchfield. She's probably never heard of the town of Waxahachie. Hooray for the Riff Raff is another band I like a lot. Kind of hip, alt country, indie rock sort of stuff. What about you guys? What are y'all listening to this week?
What have I been listening to? I'm listening to a book. It's called The Wrong Stuff, and it's about the Russian space program.
I have actually been listening to our March mixtape. It's appropriate because, like, I don't know, like it's March. And like it just makes me happy. Like I'm doing the drive to work, and I just need to get in a good mood. You can listen to a good military march or a circus march, and you're automatically much happier.
That one has a bunch of good marches on it that aren't necessarily like maybe the first one you would think of. It has some good stuff on it. Yeah.
All right, Brian. I have some rapid fire questions for you. Okay.
Oof. Okay.
So these are some questions that I'm going to ask you, and you have to try and answer them as fast as you can.
Okay.
Who is the greatest rock band of all?
The Beatles.
Favorite action movie?
Mission Impossible.
Is pineapple acceptable on pizza?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is a taco a sandwich?
Absolutely not.
Toilet paper over or under?
Over.
Sousa, King, or Fillmore?
Sousa.
Favorite book?
Oh, there's so many. Kurt Vonnegut. Slaughterhouse 5. I'll go with. He's probably my favorite writer. I'll go with my favorite book.
Favorite jazz artist?
John Coltrane. Oh no, wait, Miles Davis. No, wait, Charlie Parker. No, wait, no. We'll go with Coltrane.
Okay. Are you allowed to tuck in your shirt without a belt?
No. In fact, I'm an untuck kind of guy as often as possible, but yeah, certainly not without a belt.
Okay, which Twix do you prefer, the left or the right?
A left.
Brian has all the right answers.
Yes,
I know there's not a right answer, but all of his answers were right.
yes, they were all very, very there. Do you have a guilty pleasure that is outside the band world?
I'm a sports nut. I like to watch football and basketball. I can't really think of anything really guilty though.
Do you have a favorite TV show?
We just finished this season of Severance. My wife and I are I don't know if you guys are Severance heads or not.
I started watching
we
it.
need to watch it.
And then like it just like was I think you have to get past the first like couple of episodes.
Well,
you got to be patient.
We have so little time that we actually like sit and watch TV. And the time that we do have, it's like, I'm not going to think about anything. And that's a show that I really have to pay attention to.
Yeah, there's a lot of thinking in that one for sure.
Yeah. And so I have to be in the right mental state to watch it.
Do you have a favorite movie series?
Nothing that jumps. I mean, I watched all the Star Wars movies. I'm that age, you know.
Did you watch Star Wars in theaters?
I did. Yes. How about that?
What was it like watching the reveal in live time?
Oh, so that was Empire Strikes Back I didn't see I did see it at the movie theater, but I didn't see it on the first release. They used to bring them back a couple of times, right? And so I was 7 years old when it came out. So I was 9 when Empire Strikes Back. I remember going and this was a lot for a 9-year-old to comprehend. Wait, Darth Vader, the bad guy? He can't be related to Luke. No, so tough times.
There's a counter of how many limbs are severed from the like Star Wars, like, yeah. And it's like very high.
Right.
It's like how many hands have been cut off in Star Wars? Like 27. It's like it's up there. It is up there.
And how many stormtroopers missed with their blasters?
Oh, so many. So many. I love the scene in the first movie where they're like, they're talking about the accuracy. It has to be an Imperial, stormtrooper. And then the rest of the film, they're missing everything.
You know my favorite scene from the first movie?
When he bumps his head?
No. When Han's dressed up as the stormtrooper and they're trying to talk to him on the intercom. No, we're fine. We're good. We're fine.
How are you?
That's my favorite part.
Do you have a favorite actor?
I'm a George Clooney guy. I like George. Yeah.
Timeless.
Yeah.
You have a celebrity crush?
I'm a George Clooney guy.
You already answered the question, Jose.
Yes. Did you watch it? Like, was he in ER?
Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah, I feel like that was like the beginning of the George Clooney thing.
No, my crush right now is Helly from Severance. I don't even know the actress's name, but
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Well, so like Alexa finally has watched all 3 Lord of the Ring movies.
Yeah, as of like 2 days ago.
Yeah, she's gone all this time. Do you have a favorite character from that, Alexa?
In Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
What is the dwarf's name?
Gimli. Yes. Okay, good. I think that's the right answer.
Okay, I like that guy.
Yeah, Gimli's the right answer as far as that.
Yeah.
So, Brian, if it wasn't band, what would it have been?
I think I might have ended up as a basketball coach. I really, really loved basketball in high school, and I just feel like I probably would have wound up as some sort of teacher or coach. Luckily, I fell into band. The amount of laundry that a coach has to deal with is just terrible.
It's awful.
So I was saved from that by being a little bit better at band than I was at basketball. So,
what position did you play?
I was a forward, but I was kind of I could rotate around. I could play a little bit of guard, a little bit of center. Don't ask me to handle the ball very much. I was good defense. Defense was my thing. I
was about to ask, what are your stats? Do you remember?
Oh, no. I scored 31 points in one game as a JV player.
That's still like a lot of points. I know some teams, some JV teams who don't even score 20 points.
As a team?
Yeah. So how short were those shorts back then?
Oh, booty shorts all the way. Yes. lot of leg, lot of thigh for sure. Mullet.
Did you have the tall socks too?
Tall socks, mullet, booty shorts. It's a good look.
That
Yeah.
was a look.
I tell you what, honestly, that looks kind of come back around.
We've almost made full circle.
Yeah, like it's almost back again. The mullets came back pretty hard.
They're going back away, I think. Let's
Yes,
hope.
yes.
Let's hope.
I hope so. Did you have a mullet?
So.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Oh man.
Have you ever had a mullet?
No.
I don't think it would look.
No,
right
it would not look right on me. No business in the front, party in the back.
Right.
Keep it how it is.
Yeah, we'll never do the mullet. We'll never do it. When was the last time you didn't have facial hair? Is that a good question?
Let's see. My son's 22. I think when he was 10 and my daughter was maybe 7, I shaved everything and they freaked. And so no, I've a long time. And you're a fellow bearded dude.
Yes, I shaved mine off last year right before we went to a marching band contest, and I walked inside of the band hall and one of my juniors, who's now a senior, screamed. Like it was a legitimate scream. And I was like, first of all, like I'm not that ugly. Stop.
You have a baby face when you don't have face.
Yeah, whenever I take off the beard, it youngs me down. I think probably almost 10 years.
Oh, yeah, you've aged really well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But like it ages me down. Like it's very baby faced. And it's just like,
yeah, you definitely have a baby face.
Yeah. But she like screamed and they're like, what is wrong with your face? I'm like, well, first of all, this is the face I was born with. So thank you very much. So like, she was like, she literally legitimately screamed. I was like, excuse me.
I can see that.
Oh my goodness.
Shocking.
Gracious.
I'm sure our kids would cry if you did it and they remembered it.
Yeah. Now I think the twins would be like,
your haircut.
Yeah, that's not right. So my son said the funniest thing to me yesterday. He said, Daddy, why do you have fur underneath your armpit? He's 4 years old.
What did you tell him?
I was all like, well, I mean, this happens when you get older. He goes, Daddy, will you shave mine whenever I get older? I was all like, sure.
He also told you earlier that you were not using his camera properly and you had to use the eyepiece.
Yeah, I was just
his words, not mine.
Kids are so much smarter than what they used to be. Our kids say things, and I'm just like, I never said anything like that.
Well,
like I was a dumb country kid, grew up on a farm, didn't know what I was talking about.
Not much has changed.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, what do you like to do outside of banding?
Read a lot, run. I'm a pretty avid runner. Did a trail run series just a while back. I did a lot of bike riding, but my bike's kind of out of commission right now. Keep up with my buddies, hanging out, drink beer in my backyard, and read a book. That's what my thing is.
Do you fish, Brian?
No, not really. My son got into it for a little while. I play a little golf. I guess I need to get better at that since I'm retiring soon. That's the retired band director thing.
So you've always been an avid runner.
Mm-hmm.
So like how did that start? Because like I see pictures, you've done a lot of running events. Is there like a running event that you've liked doing more than others?
I've done a couple of marathons. I'm proud that I've done that. Not something I want to do again anytime. My knees are not going to hold up that long, I don't think. I got into it just kind of by accident almost. I did some bike riding and ran into a guy that said, hey, do this duathlon thing that I'm planning on doing. What is that? Well, you run and then you ride and then you run again. Let me try it, and found out I was better at running than I was at bike riding, and just kind of gotten into it ever since. History of heart disease in the family, and so that's been kind of an incentive to stay in shape, and I enjoy it on top of it. So just kind of a fun thing.
So how many books do you think you read in a single year?
I actually there's a website called Goodreads where you can you keep up with your book, and I rate. And I actually read 100 books last year. The first time I'd ever gotten to triple digits. So a lot.
Do you have a favorite genre of book?
I read a lot of novels. I like history. I don't read a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, that sort of thing, but just a lot of contemporary novels and psychology, sociology, motivation things, kind of what makes people tick. I like reading that stuff. I don't know if I've learned anything from it or not, but I enjoy reading it.
So you never got into the Jurassic Park books?
No.
I read Jurassic Park, but only the first one. Michael Crichton, didn't he oh wait, no. That was the guy who wrote Silence of the Lambs.
Oh.
The author, I don't remember his name, but the Silence of the Lambs author went to Baylor.
Yes.
Yes.
Huh.
And I got my Michael Crichton wires crossed. Michael Crichton was a physician, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yes, I think he was. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want Brian to go on a like teen fantasy like reading kick.
Like read Twilight or
Yeah,
something?
Twilight and read like
Maybe in retirement. Who knows?
Yeah.
Mortal
The world is his
Engines.
oyster.
A lot of time.
I can totally see that. Just like what is Brian reading? All the pictures in the backyard with Twilight.
That's a good idea.
You should do it. You should do it. Just commit. So Brian, so what is the plan in your retirement?
Well, I'd like to take a little bit of time off, and I'm going to teach some lessons. I've already got a few lessons that I've already lined up, and hoping to teach 20 hours a week or so. After a little time off, I wouldn't mind going back and like being a halftime. I would love to be the old guy at a junior high and help some of the young directors. I would love to teach beginner band all day, not have the Friday night stresses and the. I like marching band. We were very successful with it, but I don't think I'll miss that for a while. Helping at a junior high, I'll keep teaching music forever, probably, but just maybe in a different capacity for a couple of years.
Brian, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you to like lean on you for mentorship or for you to kind of reach out and go through that process, what would be the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I don't do a lot of stuff on Facebook, but I've got through Facebook Messenger would be one way. Email btillman22000 @yahoo.com. That's kind of been my email for a long time.
We're still rocking the Yahoo
email. I set that up to do a fantasy baseball league about 30 years ago. Well, maybe not 30 years ago, 25 years ago, probably. And that's been my handle ever since then. Yeah, I don't ask around. Somebody knows me and how to get in touch with me.
We'll fly up a smoke signal.
There you go. Yep.
Hit a power chord.
Right.
Play Careless Whisper.
Yes.
Off in the distance.
And Brian will appear and say, "Turn that off."
Right.
Oh man. Well, Brian, you've had such a wonderful career and we wish you the best. And really, if anyone I highly recommend reaching out to Brian. It's just like the same thing with like Sherry Poteet and just any of those folks who are just like a gift to music education. Mm-hmm. And like you've been successful. You've established your program. You're a staple inside your community. So we are very fortunate to have had you on the podcast, and anyone and everyone needs to use your talents if able. Mm-hmm. Because once again, we all need those people who we can lean on, and like you've definitely put it in its place.
Well, I appreciate it. You guys are too kind. I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed visiting with you guys.
So, all right. Well, I think that's all I have.
That's all I have.
Brian,
you kept me up past my bedtime, man.
Oh, we're so sorry.
That bus leaves early in the morning.
The bus is not going to drive itself. We got to get this man
No,
out
it is
here.
not.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening to Band Yap. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.